Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bench Racing. My name is Steve Hansen. It's been a hot minute since we've gotten together and chatted about racing. As I said in my last video, I was trying to do a more segmented 3 times a week thing. But y'all know that sometimes the harder you try to get things done, the harder it is to get it done. So I apologize, everybody. This taping is on Saturday morning. Last night we had the Bristol race and the Cars race at Nashville, the pro lates and the late models, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But I want to start off the conversation today with NASCAR approval, and by now everybody knows about Cletus's attempt to get qualified for Talladega has hit a snag, and I will say it doesn't surprise me. But the thing that, to me, listening to him and listening to RCR and a few other powers that be, it sounds to me like there's been some undertones of some double talk or something. I don't know. Again, it doesn't surprise me that they yanked the rug a little bit for now. They didn't say never. Quite frankly, they said, I thought they would tell him to go run Kansas, but they tell him to go run short tracks. Well, here's the thing, everybody. And Cletus even said it. Running Bristol and the circus that we've seen that be, and it's always been, how are you going to take somebody with limited experience and throw them in a little bull ring like that? I could see them, Martinsville maybe, but, to me it made no sense with the projection that they're doing, okay? I would have thought you make him go run one of the hardest tracks on the circuit with the O'Reilly's cars in Rockingham. Okay, well now we want you to go run short tracks in order to qualify for Talladega. Makes no sense. Go to Kansas, go to the mile and a half like what Rockingham is, and do that. But the bottom line, everybody, is simply this. This isn't a topic about Cletus and all that stuff. It's truly about NASCAR, more so in the offseason, needs to define a definite trajectory from here to here, so that it's clear, mapped out, and it needs to be done not just with NASCAR, but a governing board of current and former drivers. Put together a board so that you have current drivers. I'll throw out like Kyle Busch and Dave Blaney, Chase Elliott. I'm just throwing names out. So you have current drivers, then you have like Junior, Jeff Burton, drivers like that, Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte. So you have a mix of driving styles and input. But it needs to be clear and concise, because they're just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. So NASCAR in between now and the off season need to have sit down meetings and figure out an exact timeline and an exact way for drivers to get from here to here, and not have this throw shit against the wall thing. The Rockingham race, I've heard all kinds of talking about, we need to get Cup back there. We need to get Cup back there. And maybe in time, once they get the Cup cars figured out a little bit better, whether, tires and aero and all that crap. But, honestly, what's wrong with having the O'Reillys as the top division for that track and that race? Because you had ARCA, you had Truck, and you had the O'Reillys. So what's wrong with that? And the Junior and several others has said, why not put the All-Star race there and maybe test it a little bit? See how the cars work before you put a full-blown race there. The other topic was, how do we make a date for Cup to go there? I'm going to say this and be an advocate of this. They're going to San Diego for a street road course thing, whatever. I'm a proponent of stop trying to make NASCAR into GTP and all these other road racing full-bodied stuff. This is NASCAR. This is what this sport is. If you want that, go there. And that's been my opinion. This division, this NASCAR, was developed on oval tracks and the like. And granted, they started this thing by running moonshine all over the country and dirt roads and whatever. I get that. But it developed into largely an oval racing series. And I'm fine with some road courses, but let's stop fabricating, shit like San Diego and all that. And they haven't even ran there, but I never liked the Chicago road course. The street course. My opinion, I'm not a proponent of it. So anyway, with Rockingham, leave it the way it is for right now for me. Last night I watched the Cars Tour race, both the pros and the late models, and once again I'm in amazement. The word aero come into play with the Cars Tour. I just, the couple guys that they interviewed were talking about clean air and all this stuff. Good Lord, it's a 5/8 mile track, and you are racing late models. And I get it. I race dirt late models. You're going fast, and air affects how you do things. I get it. But good God, why does aero have to factor in to the quality of the race? I get it. Maybe it's a double-edged sword. I get that. But God almighty, would it be nice just to build a car and not be aero sensitive? I don't care if it's frickin' Cupper cars. Come on, let's get over some of this aero stuff. But once that Pandora's box has been opened, I guess it's never going to close. So it is what it is. Lastly, I'm going to touch on Bristol a little bit. I watched the truck race, and I was more in tune with watching the Cars Tour race, and so Bristol. I watched a little bit of the Xfinity race last night. It wound up being a pretty good race at the end. I never watched it all, so I'm not going to comment good, bad, or indifferent, but it was exciting racing at the end, and that's, to me, what about as much as puts butts in the seats. I do want to go back to the Cars Tour race in Nashville. I've been to Nashville. I went to a weekly race there way back in the day in the mid-2000s. Great place, great facility. I know the track needs some work and stuff, but Nashville, for God's sake, don't let the idiot that built the soccer stadium next door and the condos around there, do not let this track go away. There's so much history there. Nashville is music. It's a whole lot of dynamics in that now, but that track needs to stay. I thought it was a good race. I've seen where some said it was boring. It was this, it was that. Again, I don't know what people look at as far as a race fan, but evidently with Wake County and the mess that wound up being, everybody's more happy when you got a few wrecks and stuff like that. I enjoyed the race, both divisions. Did it get kind of strung out? Yeah, but that's the way it happens, and it's like we've talked on this channel before. It's going to happen no matter what track you're at. And I don't care what rules package. You want to throw flags every 10 laps and let them bunch up, whatever. It eventually it happens on road courses. So with that, everybody, I hope everybody has a great day. We've got the Cup Bristol race this afternoon. Going to sit down and try and watch some of that and stay awake. Anyway, everybody have a great day. We will touch base here on Tuesday. With that, remember, it's better to have raced and went broke than to have never raced at all. Have a great day, everybody.